Hello class, and welcome to the first video in the Unit 9 Circles test review. This is for test review number 1. I've gone ahead and written the answers to the vocabulary so you can check your work rather than go through all the explanations. I figured you can do that on your own, and I'll just show you the answers. So here are the answers to numbers 1 through 10. And then here are the answers for the last 6, 11 through 16. Alright, let's get to question number 17. A couple things about this test and in this review sheet. Make sure, class, that every question has a unit of measure in your answer. And also, if you have to round, you can round to 1 decimal point. Question number 17, find the measures. We've got a bunch of questions here that come off of this diagram. I'm actually going to just go through this diagram with you and label everything that I know, and then we'll see if most of those answers actually show up in these boxes. So the first thing I want to show you is we know that WSR, angle WSR, is a central angle. That means the measure of arc WR is the same as the measure of the central angle. Angle YXW, that's an inscribed angle. That means we're going to take the 86 and divide it by 2, because an inscribed angle is half of the measure of its intercepted arc. So 86 divided by 2 is 43 degrees. So if I can get that written in there. And then if you take a look at this diagram, you'll see that WX is a diameter. That means it cuts the circle exactly in half. And if we know that WR is 77 degrees, then we can find the measure of arc RX by 180 degrees minus 77, which is 103 degrees. And we could also find the measure of arc YX. That's 180, which is the half of the circle, minus 86, and that leaves us with 94 degrees. And that's about all that we know regarding all of the measures of either arcs or angles. So let's take a look at our questions. What is the length of segment SX? Well, they already gave us the radius, and I'll put this here. The radius, we look at this, the radius is equal to 32 inches because SR is a radius. And then, of course, we know the diameter is going to be equal to the radius times 2. So the diameter is going to be 64 inches. Now we'll take a look at our answer. So SX, S is in the center. So SX is also a radius. That has to be the same is our radius. Radius is always the same in the circle. The diameter is now 2 times that, which is 64 inches. The question now here is, what's the radius of circle S? Well, that's the same as the length of SX. It's the same as the length of SR. It's going to be 32 inches. The measure of arc WR, we already figured that out, is 77 degrees. The measure of angle YXW, that's an inscribed angle. That was half of the measure of the intercepted arc YW. The measure of YX, well, we already figured that out. We found that with the rules of semicircles, so that was 94 degrees. The measure of RSX, oh, that's interesting. RSX, that's one I didn't label. If arc RX is 103, then RSX must also be 103 degrees because that is a central angle. It's going to be the same as the intercepted arc. So that's 103 degrees. And then the last one, the measure of arc RX, which was also 103 degrees. So that is how you go through the process of finding all the missing measures on this circle. Question number 18 will be for you to practice. So do question number 18 by yourself, and then go ahead and pause the video, do 18, and then run it again and see if you've got the same answers. Okay, I'm assuming you've given this one a try, so I'm going to go ahead and show you what the answers should be. This is 17 centimeters, 34 centimeters. The radius is 17 centimeters. Again, you should have labeled this diagram and hopefully you'll come up with these same answers. If not, go back and check question number 17 to verify that you understand through the audio and the video how to solve these missing measures. And then BC is 116 degrees. So there are the answers in number 18. Alright, let's take a look at number 19. The pizza to the left has been cut with 3 diameters. Find all the missing angles and arc measures. Alright, so we'll go through these together. We know that if this is the center of the circle and this is 33 degrees, then this angle must be 33 degrees. This is a vertical angle, and this is the arc, intercepted arc of a central angle. That tells us that this is also 84 degrees. This happens to also be a vertical angle. So that gets us most of the way there. All we have to do now is figure out how to find this angle measure or this angle measure. We could do that because these are all diameters. That means all of these 3 angles add up to 180. So my math is 180 minus 84 minus 33, and that is equal to 63. And that means the measure of this angle is 63 degrees. And that means this arc is 63. This is a vertical angle. And this is the measure of the intercepted arc of a central angle. So there are all my angle measures and arc measures. So for question number 20 now, if you go through that, now do number 20 by yourself. And then pause the video when you're doing that, and then come back and take a look at number 20 and see if your answers are the same as mine. Okay, you are back. Let's go ahead and check your work. These are vertical angles and intercepted arcs of central angles. This is 41. Again, vertical angles. And then we're going to subtract 2 of these angles from 180 because we have diameters. And you'll see this should equal 90 degrees. Alright, hopefully you're successful with that. Let's take a look at number 21. If the measure of angle A is 48 degrees, I'm going to label that. And the measure of angle C is 32 degrees, then what is the measure of angle B and the measure of arc DC? Well, let's fill in everything that we know. We know that if this angle is 32 degrees, that's an inscribed angle. That means AB must be twice as big as that, or 64. And that means this is also an inscribed angle. So it's half of 64. Same with 48. 48 is an inscribed angle. Double that to get 96. And then half of that again to find the other inscribed angle, which is 48 degrees. So here's the questions they're asking us. What is the measure of angle B? Well, we just found that. And if I want to show you how I did that, yeah, we're going to take angle B is going to be 96 divided by 2. Actually, it's write it this way. 96 divided by 2, which is 48 degrees. I'm going to circle all my answers now. Make sure you're circling your answers. I think it's asked you that in the beginning. Circle your answers. And then the measure of arc DC, well, we already found that. And that we found by taking 48 and multiplying it by 2. And we ended up with 96 degrees. And I can find other things now too, class. I can find these 2 angles in the middle because these are now triangles with 2 known angles, I can find these two angles. We'll actually do that in a moment. This gives you the basics of how to take this shape and just picture it as a bunch of inscribed angles and finding the missing angle measures. Alright, let's go ahead and go to question number 20, I think it's number 22. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video and we'll pick up the back page of review number 1 on the next video.